But hey, we gotta give him a chance. Spawning in the bottom right position of the map, that is Whirlwind. We have the blue Zerg player, who's currently up 2-0 in this best of 5. From Team Evil Geniuses, it is Jaedong. And his opponent in the northeast, spawning as the red Zerg player. From Team Startail, it is Curious. So Curious, I mean, he kind of was allowed to do what he wanted to do that last game, but he got metagamed so badly by that, what was it, like a 6-minute lair? I don't know, something like that. So Curious is mad. He's gonna 10 pool. And Jaedong, he's gonna drone up happily. So this is actually not a bad map for this, especially considering that Curious, since these overlords across paths, he knows where Jaedong has spawned. He'd be like, oh, I see. If your first overlord runs into mine, well then obviously you must come from the opposite direction as mine. So now he knows. Double extractor tricks as well, Curious. I haven't seen double extractor trick in a while. Spawning pool is going to complete. And Jaedong is going pool first, which is nice. That's actually really important. I think if Jaedong can hatch first, I might be in a little bit more trouble. But I don't really think that a 10 pool does as much on this map. I'm just wondering how many Zerglings he's going to make. 8 so far. The thing is, this map, usually, if your opponent doesn't see it coming, is really nice. But this Overlord sees the Zerglings. So what makes a 10 pool strong on Whirlwind is if neither player's Overlord see each other in the early game, you actually kind of don't want your opponent to know where you are, even if you don't know where they are, because you can do something weird to try to find out. But now Jaedong knows, and he has a hatchery on the way. He has more drones, so he can just make some Zerglings and be pretty safe against this. He's starting up his gas. The hatchery is on the way in the natural for Curious. So Jaedong has his own Zerglings here, ready to try to save this hatch. The only thing he really needs to do is just be careful that he doesn't accidentally lose too many lings in the head-on engagement, because if he loses this fight, he will probably lose the natural. And it actually looks like Curious is getting the better end of this Zergling versus Zergling battle. And Jaedong might have to pull some drones to help deal with this. Oh, this is exactly what Curious wanted. He's getting his hatchery very, very low. Jaedong hatchery finishes. The queen has come. He's going to try to fight this. More Zerglings are headed down for Jaedong, but oh, Curious is just barely going to be held off, it seems. Wow, that queen has almost no health. Jaedong, that was scary. The queen gets taken out like that. It's never good. The second queen has popped out. Almost like I'm going to just switch positions of these queens just to keep the weak one safe. Curious's queen has hit the natural as well. So Curious actually forced out enough Zerglings that Jaedong was, yeah, Jaedong doesn't really have any type of lead now. His Zerglings are crossing the map. Not doing anything super crazy. Curious does have a few more lings though. He's getting in a bit of a hand-to-hand combat type battle. Baneling Nest is on the way for Curious, so for Jaedong with his Zergling speed. Curious is actually still playing with no gas, and Jaedong is not able to scout that this time around. He doesn't actually know that. So let's see what Curious does. I feel like this is a poke to either for this to just force out a few more Zerglings, but Jaedong may end up committing really big to a huge to a huge Zergling Baneling attack. I like this. He just actually ran in and tried to snipe a drone or two with those slowlings. He cancels the Baneling Nest. He's gonna start his lair immediately. I'd like to see Jaedong just get his lair, yeah. So this isn't as fast as the last game, but it's still pretty quick lair. There's still no gas being mined. Now the extractors are being taken for the Startail Zerg player, but Jaedong has a few speedlings. Only wants to run by. He's blocked off for the most part. Wants to get into the main base and see what is here, and he'll see, no gas. The same as the last game, so Jaedong knows now. And he's just trying to snipe drones. Not really able to get much of anything yet, though. Does get a last hit on that drone. So he gets the first drone kill of the game has just happened. And he's still dancing around. So he sees the gas is now being taken in the main base. And I think he saw the extractors being taken in the natural. Maybe. Look at that. He went right here just to see this geyser. Really smart from Jaedong. So he knows at least about that gas. He's like, okay, you're on 4 gas geysers. This is pretty standard setup. Jaedong's sending more Zerglings out. Probably wants to check for a 3rd base. I don't think he'll be able to do much damage with these. But now his Spire is on the way again. So he's still going to have his mutas crazy fast. And this is a slightly more difficult map to actually hit the Spore Crawler at the 3rd base. Which really was the root of all of Curious's problems on the first map, on Belshire. It's so difficult. If the mutas deny your 3rd once, and you don't have the Spore there, especially with the queens that Curious lost trying to take it, then you're pretty much dead. You're just never going to get you're just never going to get a setup. And Jaedong doesn't need creep tumors because he wants to go for the Mutalisks, at least at the start. So he's saying, hey, let's just slow down your queens so that they can't get to your 3rd base as easily. And that, you know, even if he plants extra Q tumors, that's going to cut down on his injects. Gets us around on the queens. Very nice from Jaedong. Oh, this queen has a lot of energy. It's a pretty juicy target. He will pick it off. That is so good for Jaedong. And the other queen here is very, very low. So now when these Mutalisks start to come out in a few seconds, it's going to get really, really difficult. It's actually funny. He has enough gas to make 8 or 9. But he does not have any, and Jaedong doesn't have any minerals. He's still pumping out a ton of Zerglings. I think he's realizing he has an opportunity to maybe kill his opponent or just deny him forever. Because Jaedong actually has not even started a single Mutalisk. He's just cranking out Zerglings. Now 6 mutas in the production tab. He has enough gas to go up to 7, maybe 10. And Curious actually has a lot of Zerglings coming up to trying to fight back. But Jaedong just has so much more. He's going to win this fight pretty handily in the center. His Zerglings are getting weaker. But Curious is just not able to match his production since Jaedong's had this 3rd hatchery for a little while. And Jaedong, it's a pretty close fight, but now that the Mutalisks are here, Jaedong should be able to win this even more easily than before. So, Jaedong's got mutas out in the field. Jaedong has the 3rd base. His Overlord sees the 3rd for Curious is halfway done. There are a few queens here, but if Jaedong moves across with his Mutalisks and his Zerglings, I don't see any way that his 3rd base finishes. You see that Overlord's actually pooping creep. He really wants to get the Spore Crawler on top of that 3rd base, but that will be quite difficult to make happen. Here come the Zerglings on that 3rd hatchery. The mutas, where are the mutas? Okay, they're going towards the natural expansion. Going to pick Overlords off. And he gets to deny on the 3rd base with just the Zerglings. Really, really nice. But the creep is getting ever closer. He does have a Spore Crawler out in the center. Jaedong needs to watch his step. He actually has a huge amount of gas. And Jaedong's just like, I don't really want to build more Mutalisks. Which is weird. Kills off the 3rd, no cancel. Really, really nice. And Jaedong, God, he's just picking on Curious at this point. He's like just pushing him around. He's like the bully at the playground. Burrow and pathogen glands are on the way for Curious, so he's getting his infestors and et cetera out pretty quickly. A bit fast from the last game. He's really scared of these mutas. Jaedong only made like 6. Yeah, he only made those original 7 Mutalisks. The 3rd base is on the way again, but Jaedong's starting to move into roaches. He has roach upgrades coming in. These Mutalisks back home trying to help slow down these Zerglings. The roaches as well do a great job of that. And Jaedong has this fully saturated 3rd base as far as mineral income goes to just crank out tons and tons of roaches. So these are where the Zerglings are going to try to buy Jaedong, try to buy Curious some more time. He's going to get maybe a few drones, at least 2. Not exactly what he wanted. He's actually going to catch and head these Zerglings off. This is really nice. And Mutalisks get on top of the forces of Curious. And Jaedong is really, really good at Zerg versus Zerg. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. But this 3rd base is still about 75% done for the Zerg from Startail. And Jaedong is still just running around, denying left and right. He's going to try to move into the natural, it seems. Run some Zerglings in. Maybe try to get a queen. Does need to watch out those infestors. Ah, man, one fungal and all these mutas will die pretty much instantly. The Zerglings are actually moving into the main. hold positioning. We're trying to kill a drone or two. And there's actually not that many drones have died this game, but the supply discrepancy is absolutely massive. And it's 100% caused by the fact that this third base is just now almost going to be mining from. First drones have hit the third base at about 14.5 minutes for Curious. And Jaedong's taking everything he can get. He's like, okay, you got a roach here. I'll just poke at it. Kill some, take some hit points off. Oh, drone. Okay, let's just batter away at these. Queen, all right. Every queen that he could kill is absolutely fantastic. The queen burrows. That's actually adorable. Unburrows and gets transfused. That's actually really, really adorable. So Curious has a few lings out. And Curious actually does not really have that much drones on the third base yet. He's really starting to put them out, but Jaedong's already maxed. So I imagine he's just going to try to aim move him again with a ton of roaches. I have no idea what Curious does versus this. The fungals, he needs them to be absolutely perfect, but he still needs to watch out for the fact that there's just so much more Jaedong. And look at this, Jaedong separated his roaches into really, really, really small clumps. He does need to watch out though. He just wanted to use that to distract the army, but Jaedong needs to make... I feel like Jaedong really wants to fight with all his forces together, but he's actually just going to push in and move a huge wave of roaches inside of the main base. And this is just, oh my god, transfuses are flying, fungal growths, infested Terrans being thrown out, these beach balls. Curious is feeling the pressure, that is for sure. And everything in the main base has been cleared out. Just the buildings left remain. And these roaches actually moving into the third base as well. Might be able to kill off this queen. Jaedong is going to try to immediately remax on roaches. He has so much. And, I mean, his roaches are just going to try to trade at this point. The upgrades are superior for Curious by a significant margin. He's up 1 attack upgrade and 1 armor upgrade. So it's just 2 to 1. It's 2-1 versus just +1. And that's really nice for Curious, but Jaedong will be finishing up his +2 attack reasonably soon. And he's maxing up slower and slower than before. But a lot of the infestor energy has been spent, which means his superior roach count might be able to just get him this win. Jaedong's actually going to take... It doesn't seem like he has the numbers lead just yet, and that upgrade advantage is really going to help out Curious for this mid-stage. Just looks like there's so much more roaches coming across the map that Curious can't keep up in production. He can't make enough roaches. He can't make as many as Jaedong can, and it's showing. He's still up 50 supply. Curious is losing everything, and these infestors do not have energy. A couple of infested Terrans will pop out, but that's not really going to do much. Curious's last few roaches, it's kind of like this weird, both players are firing like these energy beams at each other, and Jaedong's is just going a little bit farther, closer and closer to Curious. Splits off more roaches towards this third base. He has the Overseer as well, so that infestor dies. And Jaedong can't be stopped. GG, a 3-0 win in our first semifinal. Jaedong is, Jaedong's going to the finals.